ladies and gentle beings, please make welcome the man of the hour, Kevin.
Yeah. Come on.
What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing tonight? I just want to, on behalf of Stonehenge Gardens, just thank everybody for an amazing weekend, for coming out, participating. All the workshops were amazing. Everybody's doing an awesome job. I just want to thank everybody, and yeah, excited for what we got going on tonight, because we got a special treat on a North American tour. Charlie Mgee from Formidable Vegetable Sound System. You guys familiar with this band? Yeah. All right. Hey, did you get that package?
Yes, I did. Thank you. I'm going to chuck a few of these over here because I can.
All right, let's give it up one more time. One more time.
Thanks heaps, guys. Thank you so much for inviting me to this beautiful gathering. I, as usual, feel like one of the most privileged people in the universe coming to these things, and being able to freely move about the globe amongst such awesome change agents as yourselves. So for those of you who don't know what the hell I am and what I'm doing, my name's Charlie Mgee, and a few years ago I wrote an album about the permaculture principles, and kind of became my thing. So as we know, or as you may not know, Bill Mollison, our father of permaculture, passed away last September, and I was pretty humbled to hear from his daughter Fran that in these last couple of weeks he'd been listening to my songs and singing along and laughing and really enjoying them. So I was pretty humbled about that, and I thought I'd better write him a dedication. So I'd like to begin with just a little kind of thoughtful reflection on the life of Bill. And one thing that Bill hated was lawn. So you'll hear him go on about lawn. I thought I've got to incorporate lawn into this song. And when he died, his one of his last requests was for everyone to plant a productive tree in his name, so a fruit or a nut tree or a useful tree of some kind. So I've called this song "Trees Eat Us All in the End." Designer, you're now a recliner. So long and thanks for the yield. And your tools left behind have all sharpened our minds to keep growing the change in the field. Yeah, the future is looking quite shady under all the ideas that you've grown. And to look out the window at food in the ground gives us power to face the unknown. But trees eat us all in the end. So plant one for me when I'm gone. Then if you hear that I've died, you can tell them they've lied. I'm just shading out somebody's lawn. Just picture him shading out someone's lawn. Tapping into the rhizomes of wisdom, you wove them all into a tale. And with seeds in your pockets and dirt on your hands, you took us in to the belly of the whale. You took us into the belly of the whale. So go on and tell us another, 'cause your stories are food for the soul, helping us to see the forest for the trees and ourselves as a part of the whole. See ourselves as a part of the whole. Yeah, 'cause trees eat us all in the end. So plant one for me when I'm gone. Then if you hear that I've died, you can tell them they've lied. I'm just shading out somebody's lawn. Though the problems around us are many, the answers come to us with ease. Just take care of the land, your friends and your family, and remember to plant lots of trees. Yeah, 'cause trees eat us all in the end. So plant one for me Then if you hear that I've died, you can tell them they've lied. I'm just shading out somebody's lawn. You can join in if you... I said, trees eat us all in the end. Yeah, so plant one for me when I'm gone. Then if you hear that I've died, you can tell them they've lied. I'm just shading out somebody's lawn. Thanks very much. So, yeah, thought I'd open with that little dedication to Bill, who gave us so much and, you know, pretty much brought the permaculture movement to the world. So, yeah, I've spent the last 5 years touring around with my band, Formidable Vegetable Sound System. Can you throw me that middle CD there? And so what went from like an educational tool that I thought would be, you know, handy to teach to permaculture students on PDCs or, you know, even kids in a school, somehow turned into this music festival act which has played at like everywhere from Glastonbury Festival with the Rolling Stones to like these electronic Burning Man style doofs. So don't ask me how that happened, but, you know, find a niche and fill it. Isn't that what they said? So, you know, and when I was studying permaculture, the thing that I got the most out of my course, which I've heard reflected among some of your stories, is that, you know, it made me realize that the skills I already had were my biggest asset. And I didn't have to I went in there thinking, I'm going to learn all about organic gardening and composting and changing the world and landscaping and water harvesting and all this stuff. But when I finished, I'd learned a lot about that stuff, but I came back to music, which is what I was doing in the beginning. And I thought, well, if I align this with the ethics and principles of permaculture, then that's the way I can kind of make my most valuable contribution, I hope, at least in this point in time. So I'm just going to do one more little acoustic one, and then I'll crank up the radish beatbox for the older bump and grind if you feel like it. But this is a song about David Holmgren's first principle of permaculture. So my principle songs are based on Holmgren's set, but, you know, that fit a lot of Bill's methodologies and philosophies in there as well. But this is about observation and interaction and recognizing that, you know, the abundance is right in front of us. Everything you need is right in front of you. When you learn to see, well, good things come to you. All you have to do is stop. Ooh, a little bit less reverb. And take a look around. Thanks. Before you intervene, just don't do anything. Yeah, come to all your senses. They'll tell you everything. But first you have to learn to stop and take a look around. Yeah, just take a look around. Listen to the sound. Hey, why not take a whiff? You'll see much better if you use more than just your eyes, yeah. Now you gotta take a step outside. Woo-hoo-hoo. If you wanna know what your soil is like and what is gonna grow. Well, at first you have to learn to just stop and take a little look around. Yeah, just take a look around. Get your hands into the ground. Don't be scared of that dirt. It isn't gonna hurt. And if you're braver, you can try the flavor. Hey, why not? Now just take a handful of your land, give it a bit of a squeeze in your hand. Soil ribbon test coming up for you, folks. Then you just gotta check out the display, cause if it stays together, it's clay, and if it falls apart, it's sand. That's right. But the point of that is all you gotta do is take a look, take a look, take a look, read your landscape like a book, interact, low impact, and get your feedback when you take a little look around. Well, that old abundance will abound. My favorite, a bum dance. Because the problem is the solution. Just depends on your perception. You gotta change yourself before you change the world. That's right. Yeah, you just gotta take a look around, on the inside and out. Because when you observe yourself, you see everything else. Make good use of it now. Can we have the sing along? Let me hear. You over here. Up the back. A little bit louder. One more time. Thank you. All right, I'm going to crank this machine up now. I usually tour with a 3 to 8 piece band, so you know, with the absence of enough money to buy visas for all my band members, I've had to cram them into this machine here. So I'm going to attempt to mix them into the mix. But this is a little story from my first album. In fact, this was the first permaculture song I wrote as a result of doing a PDC with Robin Francis back in Australia. And Robin's an amazing teacher because she really integrates the practical with the spiritual and the artistic. And I really love that combination of using the pattern language that indigenous cultures used for centuries to actually teach permaculture. And so our first bit of homework in the PDC was to go off and come up with a presentation on one of Holmgren's principles. And my housemate at the time, who I was, sharing a house with, but also doing the permaculture course with, said, "Hey, you've got a ukulele. Why don't you write a song about a permaculture principle?" And I just looked at her like, that's the stupidest idea anyone's ever had. Who's going to want to listen to music about permaculture? And she was like, "Nah, do it. It'd be great." And I was like, nah, no way, man. That sounds like the most hippie thing I've ever heard. That was for you, man. And but she said, "No, look, I'm cooking dinner tonight, and you're not getting any until you've written a verse and a chorus of a song about permaculture." I was like, "Oh, you got me." Stomach, just, that just does it every time. So, I got out my book and I was looking through for the easiest principle. I was like, come on, a principle, what's it? I was like, all right, produce no waste. Yeah, I'll write one of those recycling songs, whatever. I want my dinner. And so, I started writing, and then it just got me thinking a little bit about my background and examples in my life that applied to it. And I was like, hey, I've been doing permaculture for a long time. Because just a quick history, I was born in an Aboriginal community in the north of Australia and lived there till I was 4, and spoke 2 Aboriginal languages, which was a pretty rare, it's not a very common thing for a regular white Australian to do. And then I think that kind of paved the way for this community-minded thinking, because, I'd just sort of wander around the town while my parents were at work and hang out with the kids, and they'd come home and be like, "Oh, where's Charlie gone?" They're like, "Oh, yeah, he's down the road playing with those kids." So it was a real safe environment and a real community-minded environment. And then growing up, my dad bought some land in the south and started growing vegetables and converting, our power system. Well, we never had a power system. He built an off-grid solar system back in the 90s when it was ridiculously expensive. So we only had one solar panel, which was enough to power like one of these lights. And, we had our water harvested from the rain, and the shed which he built was made out of recycled materials from the rubbish tip. So it was a very low impact life, and I think he wanted to communicate to his kids the principles and ethics behind permaculture. And so in some ways I'm second generation permy, because growing up this stuff was just normal, and it was only until I went to the city and saw society that I was like, whoa, this ain't normal at all. But it could be. So I wrote this song all about being conscious of our resources, and when you don't have a lot of resources, you're less inclined to waste them. It's a true story. Happened in the southwest of Western Australia. Can you hear those beats out there? All right. Don't be afraid to have a boogie if you feel inclined. When I was a little boy, I liked to catch the rain, while people all around my town watched it flow right down the drain. But because our little shed in the bush wasn't on the mains, the only water we had to use was in a tank caught from the rain. 'Cause there's no such thing as waste, only stuff in the wrong place. I said there's no such thing as waste. Misusing water's a disgrace. Then I moved to the city, rented a house on my way to buy a bed. Saw one lying on the side of the road, so I took that one instead. And I also found a fridge, a couch, and a big old sewing machine in the biggest pile of thrown out stuff that I had ever seen. But there's no such thing as waste, oh no, only stuff in the wrong place, yeah. That's right, there's no such thing as waste. That old landfill's gonna be replaced. Then down the track I found out that diesel cars can run on veggie fat, so I bought a truck and hit the road smelling like fish and chips. I rescued piles of wasted oil from the back of restaurants and said I'd be a fool if I bought my fuel when there's oil nobody wants. 'Cause there's no such thing as waste, oh no, only stuff in the wrong place, that's right. I said there's no such thing as waste. Well, that old idea's gotta be replaced. 'Cause we gotta refuse, reduce, reuse, repair, and recycle. Refuse, reduce, reuse, repair, and recycle. Now I dumpster dive to stay alive, and I compost every crumb. I save my seeds and eat my weeds and feed the leftovers to your mum. Gonna build a house from the rubbish tip, gonna keep this planet clean. Reuse ideas that have been around for years to live within its means. 'Cause there's no such thing as waste, oh no, only stuff in the wrong place. I said there's no such thing as waste, yay, only opportunity to be embraced. Thank you. Thank you very much. That was a true story. And yeah, the veggie oil van bit, people never believe, but I mean, you guys know about biodiesel, right? It's not a really big thing. In Australia, it's still relatively underutilized. So I've just graduated from my biodiesel, or not even biodiesel, straight veggie oil van to a veggie oil fire truck, which I'm planning to take around Australia and hopefully do the national tour de plants to community gardens, teaching permaculture from my back veranda. Anyway, that's a project for down the track. But so yeah, after writing these songs and producing this album, which in homage to Bill I called Permaculture a Rhymer's Manual, somehow through a random chain of events that don't even make sense to me, I got invited, or sort of accidentally ended up on the main stage headlining an international solar eclipse festival in Australia, which is just a bizarre chain of events. And it was basically replacing another band that was meant to be playing. Only 4 days before I was due to go on, they told me. And so I had 4 days to learn how to create electronic music, which I have no idea what even electronic music is, still to this day. So I did my best, and I got all of the stems from my album and gave them to a DJ friend of mine. Said, "Can you help me create a show that will work at an international dance music festival on the headline slot of the main stage?" He was like, "Okay." And so we ended up playing on there, and it really went really well, and that's how the world tour began, and it's been going for 5 years. So that leads to this next principle of permaculture, which is to creatively use and respond to change. So all of my songs went from sounding like, yay, happy little ukulele songs, to sounding more like this. I tell people this is the world's first climate change dubstep song. Well, one thing's for certain, that's that nothing's for certain, 'cause you never know what's around the bend. In whatever you're dealing, just accept what you're feeling, 'cause there's no point in believing it will never end. 'Cause it's changing, constantly changing, in any situation. Well, the only thing that remains the same is change. Like a change in the season, change is there for a reason. Can't stop ourselves from moving around the sun. And there's no point in complaining if it's stormy and rainy. Just gotta get an umbrella and play in the rain with someone. It's changing, every moment changing. Sometimes there's not much you can do, but other times there is. And no matter who you are, you've just got to be cool with change. Well, change is there, make the most of it. You might as well use it for your benefit. Like when your food goes bad, compost it. When there's no more planes, build a pirate ship and sail the sea. You can do as you please, yeah. Oh, but only if you know you've got to improvise your way. Yeah, yeah. 'Cause even if you keep very still, be guaranteed that nothing else will. And if you just sit around wondering what to do, and you don't make change, it'll happen to you. We got small change and big change and loose change, slow change and fast change and a wind change. We got sea change and tree change and climate change, you change and me change and a key change. Yeah, A minor, that's good enough. So I was in DC a few weeks ago, and I got on the ukulele and played this outside the White House, because I figure someone has to hear about this stuff. And I think at the time, Washington, D.C. had a ban on the word climate change, so I just went ahead and sung it instead of saying it. But just as we got these things changing in the broader world, we can also make changes ourselves, and it's about empowering ourselves to know what our sphere of influence is. And I think there's a lot of power in that. Yeah, 'cause change is all the rage. Turn the page away from these strange, out of phase, deranged, crazy days.
'Cause it's about time we engage. Start rearranging our brains out of these old ways, behaving like we're insane. We've got to step out of our cages, worrying about our wages or the New York Stock Exchanges. It's time to turn the pages. Don't be ashamed, don't wear the blame. Just drain the main vein of the pain. Take to the stages and become agents. Change. Yeah. Thank you. So yeah, I figured after 4 years of touring with the name Formidable Vegetable Sound System, it was about time to write a song about an actual vegetable. Everyone would be like, hey, you're the vegetable band. Do you guys play vegetables and sing about vegetables? I'm like, actually, no. The only vegetables in our band are GMO, grow my own. We've got to renegotiate these terms, guys. We've got to redefine language, because language is at the heart of all change. So GMO is grow my own, all right? We can ignore that other meaning. But anyway, so then I thought, I'd had a lot of feedback from parents as well who'd been playing our first album and saying, hey, our kids, our 4 to 7-year-old really loves your permaculture music. I was like, really? That's awesome. So they're like, yeah, you should do more kids stuff. I was like, all right. So I came up with this kids album called Grow Do It, which was kind of just a simpler, more practical, I guess, guide for kids. But then we got a dubstep glitch hop producer to produce it, so it doesn't sound anything like a kids album. But anyway, this is a song about my favorite vegetable, which, as I believe Bill and some other permies say, should be the first thing any permaculturalist plants if your climate permits it, because of its multifunctional nature. That's right. It's a love song. You're my sweet potato, sweet potato, sweet potato. I'm gonna eat you later, eat you later, eat you later. You're no dud spud under mud, you're unrelated. Yeah, you're my sweet potato. Well, I see you being all shriveled in my cupboard. Letting me put you in the garden bed, I think you'll love it. Gonna leave you underground until you make another little sweet potato, sweet potato. Sweet well, you're a ground cover, ground cover, ground cover. Mound lover, drought tougher, you're my sound brother. Gonna dig you, wash you, cook you, eat you for my supper. My little sweet potato, sweet potato. Yeah, you're my sweet potato, sweet potato, sweet potato. I'm gonna eat you later, eat you later, eat you later. You're my kind of dynamic accumulator. Little sweet. What can we do with a sweet potato? I'm gonna pluck your leafy tips. I'm gonna cut you into chips. Or maybe whip me up some dip. My little sweet potato. Sweet potato, sweet potato, sweet potato. I'm gonna eat you later, eat you later, eat you later. Than a regular potato, you are so much greater, my little sweet, my sweet, sweet, sweet potato, sweet potato, sweet potato. I'm gonna eat you later, eat you later, eat you later. You're my savior with the flavor that I wanna savor. My little sweet, my sweet, my sweet potato. Thank you very much. All right, it's another new one from the kids album. I just, didn't want to make it all about gardening, because gardens are great. But the wilderness also has so much to offer. And the wilderness in our urban environments, depending on how much pollution there is, can also be a place of abundant yield. So this next song's about some of my favorite edible weeds. Did you ever think a weed could be something you can eat? Let me tell you about some eating weeds I know. Yeah, you can munch them all day long while you're singing this weed song, 'cause you're growing almost everywhere you go. Now I've been known to succumb to nasturtium, root of dandelion drying for my tea. I'm gonna pluck myself some chickweed and sprinkle it with flickweed. Hey, I'll even eat some seaweed if I'm living by the sea. And if you ever think a weed could be something you can eat, let me tell you about some eating weeds I know. So you can munch them all day long while you're singing this weed song, 'cause they're growing almost everywhere you go. Well, nothing makes me whistle like a salad with milk thistle. Rock and roller, go to cola in the lawn. Yes, I rambled in the brambles, leaning over for the clover. I said if I lived with you, your weeds would be all gone. Now when it's wetter, you can better pick me up some stinging nettle. It grows better with some feta and a pie, isn't it? Or else I may just settle for some sorrel or some fennel. Come on, why don't you just give them all a try? Did you ever think a weed could be something you can eat? Let me tell you about some eating weeds I know. Yeah, you can munch them all day long while you're singing this weed song, 'cause they're growing almost everywhere you go. Now just because it's called a weed doesn't mean that it is bad. Find out if it can feed you or do something that is rad, because weed is any plant that grows really, really well. So well it makes some people rant and rave and swear and cuss and yell. But did you ever think weed could be something you can eat? Let me tell you about some eating weeds I know. Yeah, you can munch them all day long while you're singing this weed song, 'cause they're growing almost everywhere you go. I said they're growing almost everywhere you go. They're growing almost everywhere you go. Thank you. So I had to put a big disclaimer on that one because, anyone who'd never been weed foraging before, I just shudder to think, they're just like, hey, you can go and eat all the weeds. Oh, no. I actually had a bit of a wake-up call myself the other week. I was in Tasmania. A friend of mine had just moved from Brisbane to Tasmania, which is a totally different climate zone. Brisbane is in the tropics, Tasmania is temperate. And she was really excited because she'd heard about all the wild foraging you could do in Tasmania and all the beautiful temperate vegetables you could grow. And so I went to visit her and she said, oh, hey, don't worry about getting anything for dinner. I've just been out foraging and got all this awesome stuff. Got this, dandelion and chickweed and wild harvested field mushrooms, which we can cook up for dinner. So I was like, all right. But are you sure they're field mushrooms? She's like, yeah. I checked on the internet, I identified them. They're not death caps. I was like, good. Because if you eat death caps, you die. So, anyway, when I sussed them out, I'm like, they look for like 2 mushrooms? Are you sure you know what you're talking about? She's like, yeah, it's all good. And I trust her. She's been doing it a long time, and she's harvested mushrooms before, so I was like, okay. So we cooked up these mushrooms and ate them up for dinner, and they were delicious. And then the next day, we ended up in the Hobart Emergency Ward, checking our vital functions and making sure we weren't going to go into a coma. Yes. So, word of reality for everyone: know what you're doing. A friend of mine was a mycologist living in Tasmania. And as I was lying in the back of my van with the stomach ache from hell, I was like, oh, just have a nap and sleep it off. It'll be right. I'm feeling pretty sleepy anyway. I thought, oh, I'll just put a photo of them on Facebook, just in case anyone can ID them. Someone later told me that if you ever pick a wild mushroom, put half of it in the fridge with a note saying, this is how I died. So anyway, I got a phone call from her as I'm like drifting off to possibly an eternal sleep in the back of my van. And she said, hey, Charlie, what are you putting pictures of this mushroom on Facebook for? What's going on? I was like, oh, yeah, I ate a few last night. I'm not feeling too good. She's like, oh, my God, get to the hospital now. They can put you in a coma. I was like, ah. So, yes, I'm glad I did that. She saved my life. And she later said that, obviously mushrooms in this continent are different to the mushrooms in the Australian continent, but she was friends with the 2 top mycologists in Australia, and their advice was, the more we know, the less we eat. Basically, they don't go wild harvesting mushrooms in Australia, which I was a bit heartbroken to hear, but hey, I'm still alive to tell the tale. So anyway, this next song has nothing to do with mushrooms, even though I do have a song that's about mushrooms. Bugger it, do you want to hear the song about mushrooms? All right, I'll save that one for later. Okay, so... So this song contains the most bad puns I've ever put in a song. Do you have any pun fans out there? Yay! Awesome. All right, this one's for you. And I was pretty stoked because Paul Stamets liked it on his SoundCloud. So this song's about Fun Gus, the fun guy, singing about his mycelium, which we all know what mycelium is, right? We've taken a little bit of a different take. All right, get ready. People say I'm a fun guy, but that's more than what I am. Fun guy's plural, right? Well, you can call me Fun Gus. Come underground to my pad to jam. Well, there's not much room down there, but we got mycelium. I wanna wrap mycelium around you till the super kingdom come. Yeah, I wanna wrap mycelium around you, wrap mycelium around you, wrap mycelium around you. I told you. Well, you know, fun guy like me need a bit of fun gal company. You know what I mean? Well, baby, I wanna decompose you a love song. Symbiosis in the key of G, for Gus, that is. And when I partay, you know I loves to break it down. Yeah, eating dead wood tastes so good, and you know I'm gonna share it round. Well, I'm gonna wrap mycelium around you, wrap mycelium around you, wrap mycelium around you. mycelium around it. Wrap mycelium around it. Wrap mycelium around you. Gonna wrap mycelium around you. Just wrap mycelium around. Wrap mycelium around. Wrap mycelium around you. Woo! That's right, Fun Gus in the house. Thank you very much. See, he even comes with his own, he's even got his own little character there. See, Fun Gus chilling out with the mycelium. You know, it's all fun and games for the kids. You know, this is about some other kind of, different kind of mycelial network. It's not really mycelium at all, it's more the bacterial. Anyway, I often use the analogy to go fungal. You know, we don't want permaculture to go viral, we want it to go fungal. Because, you know, human beings act enough like a virus already, so if we send this movement fungal, we're going to go deep, you know what I mean? And anyway, another way, you know, that we can get it out there is by inoculating all the beneficial microorganisms inside of us into society. And I like to use the analogy of this next fermented probiotic product. This song's for Scott Mann. This is a request. And to me, it embodies the ultimate using and valuing diversity, because in our bodies, you know, we have about 100 trillion cells, right? More or less. But I found out that only 10% of those cells are human. Did you know that? 10 trillion of our 100 trillion cells contain human DNA. The other 90 trillion cells are a different species, phylum, kingdom, and completely not human. So, you know, that just goes to show that we're these walking ecosystems, and we can kind of use that as a metaphor. And the ultimate metaphor, for me, lies in the making and consumption of kimchi. It's good for me. Yeah, it's the best stuff that I eat, I guarantee. Kimchi, so good for me. I want to make it for my friends and my family. So what I do is I get my daikon radish with the cabbage finely diced. Then I chop a bit of chili with the garlic and the ginger to crank it up with spice. Then add salt and ash, sweetly caress it to give it a good massage. Then when I see that water rise, I stuff it inside a jar. Kimchi, so good for me. Fermented probiotic flavored jamboree. Kimchi, what does it mean? Something like salty pickled veggies in Korean. The bibimbap, the bibimbap, the bibimbap, the bibimbap, the bibimbap, the bim, yeah, the bibimbap is actually a Korean dish that contains kimchi. Pretty cool scat though. Kimchi, so good for me. Yeah, it's the best stuff that I eat, I guarantee. Kimchi, so good for me. I just want to make it for my friends and my family. Now help me out, we got to stuff it inside a jar. Come on, let me see you stuff it inside your jar. Get a bigger jar if you want. Stuff it inside a jar. That's right, there we go. Here, stuff it inside a jar. You got it. Kimchi, take it from me. And you just want to leave it out on your bench for about a week. Kimchi, well, you know when it's ready. Yeah, because your whole kitchen's really gonna reek. Oh, be careful when you try and take a peek. Oh, but kimchi is that flavor that I see. Oh, yeah. Thank you. And my favorite part of that song is actually the ending, because when we were recording it in Mal's kitchen, that's where musicians of my caliber can afford to record, we switched off all the appliances and the fridge and everything to make sure there was no noise coming through the recording. But as he was laying down this, you know, bass line, I was like, heard this interference, and I was like, wait, stop. I could hear this. I was like, what the hell is that? I've turned everything off, and I noticed over on the bench there was a jar of kimchi that I'd made. And I was like, wait a minute. I went up to it and it was going, shh. I was like, the kimchi wants to be on the record. It's a sentient being. It is billions, trillions of sentient beings. So I was like, right, this is perfect. This has got to happen. Hold on. And I brought it over to the microphone and pressed record and then slowly opened the lid. And this is what it sounded like. This was so good it made it on the end of the song. So this is a real life kimchi off-gassing fart, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, yeah. Juicy. That's it right there. If that's not alive, I don't know what is. So speaking of which, following on from that, beautiful diversity of microorganisms inoculating your gut, it's literally like internal bodybuilding, eating kimchi. You're adding to all those 100 trillion cells with like trillions more microorganisms. How great is that? So, that comes back to this next song, which is also from the new album. This is called You Are What You Eat. And I wrote it as a request from Vandana Shiva. And so through some other random chain of events, don't get me started on how many random chains of events there are in my life. It's like a random chain mail jacket of events. But I ended up on Vandana Shiva's farm in India. And she sat down with me one day and said, Charlie, next year is the International Year of Soil. You should write a song. And I was like, oh my God, Vandana Shiva told me to do a thing. And when Vandana Shiva tells you to do a thing, you do the thing. So this was the thing. And then I wrote this song, which is all about soil, and sent it to the United Nations for International Year of Soil on Soil Day. And I was like, whatever. Hey, UN, I wrote a song. Do you like it? And they sent me back an email saying, yes, we love your song. We'd like to open the official International Year of Soils at our headquarters in Rome. And I was like, oh my God, we've made it in nerd Hollywood. So they sent back this video. They're like, here's a video of the events, and it's like the CEO or whatever, chairperson of the UN being like, welcome to the International Year of Soils. We'd like to open today's event with a song from the Australian group Formidable Vegetable Sound System. And they played it. I was like, this is so bizarre. Anyway, this is said song. You can have a boogie if you like. So I've ripped off Michael Pollan in this song, but then I've one-upped him. Because he said you are what you eat eats. But I figure in the fractal nature of ecology, you can take it as many more steps as you like. Ipso facto, you are what you eat. And you are what you eat eats. And you're even what you eat eats. Here's a clue, why don't you take a peek beneath your feet? Cause if you wanna know what you're made from, look at what you're made from's made from. Cause the stuff that we're all made from is the same. Yeah, we goes from dust to dust, so you gotta just trust that upper crust and maintain that good terrain from whence you came. We've been looking up, we've been messing around, we've been freaking out, but it's time to get down, 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 cause we're made up of common ground. Can't live without it, and it's time to get down, 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 down. Yes, it is. Now when you flirt with the dirt, you'll observe it's certainly not inert. What sound does a chicken make? Well, let me tell you. It's the only thing I can find a rhyme. It's never alone, on the loan, and it's time to get to work. We've been looking up, we've been messing around, we've been freaking out, but it's time to get down, 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 cause we're made up of common ground. Can't live without it, and it's time to get down, 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 down. That's right. Nose trumpet time. Oh yeah. Looking up, we've been messing around, we've been freaking out, but it's time to get down, 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 'cause we're made up of common ground. Can't live without it, and it's time we get down, down. We've been looking up now, we've been messing around, we've been freaking out, but it's time to get down, 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 'cause we're made up of common ground. Can't live without it, and it's time we just gotta get on. Everybody now, down, 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 down. Come on, one more time. Down, 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 down. I want you to hear you say down, 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 down. Oh, nice. Because you are what you eat, and you are what you eat eats, and you're even what. Repeats, it repeats. Shibbity-boo, flubbity-doo. Down, down, down. Thank you. Thanks so much, guys. I got a couple more for you, and then I think we got August 21. 21st of August. How do you say it backwards over here? To us, we're like the 21st of August, but you're called August 21, right? Yeah. Oh, cool. All right. My silly Southern Hemispherian brain. Well, we're gonna just. I might take you out with this one. This is an oldie but a goodie. Well, it's from the first album. This is about permaculture principle number 3: obtain a yield. And for me, you know, I like to think outside the box. In fact, I just like to compost the box entirely, sheet mulch the box. But you know, instead of the physical yield, the material yield of, you know, harvesting fresh food from your garden or whatever that material yield is, I think the ultimate yield that we can get from doing this work is that yield of right livelihood and conscience and just feeling like, you know, you're doing something towards the right direction. So this, I always send this out to anyone who's been stuck in the daily grind of the 9 to 5 and managed to escape. There's a fun little video clip of this one on our website too if you want to check it out. If you work all day from 9 to 5 and come home feeling half alive, never see your kids and wife, then I've got news for you. There's no point doing what you do unless it's somehow good for you. You've got to get a result or two in the form of something real. Now if you're feeling stressed and not the best and have trouble finding happiness, well, here's one thing I will suggest: obtain yourself a yield. Obtain yourself a yield. Sustain your energy. Don't train yourself, maintain yourself. Obtain yourself a yield. Now money's not the only yield. You could be making a bigger deal about what you eat for your next meal. You can't run on an empty tank. Ignore the stash of cash in your pocket and make a salad with some homegrown rocket. You just have to go out the back and pluck it. No need to go to the bank. You got to work your days for stuff that pays you, not just money, but in many ways. It's time you cleared away the haze and obtained yourself a yield. Obtain yourself a yield of something you can eat. Cause we can produce some things of use with our own 2 hands and feet. Yeah, obtain yourself a yield right in the here and now. Make sure to earn something in return. Here, let these guys show you how. Interpretive dance time. Come on, what you got? Oh, yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah. Stomp the plow. No, stomp the tiller. Gundaroo tiller. Oh, he's doing burnouts on the yeomans. Oh, look out. Digging the swale. That's right. Yeah. Seeding the cover crop. All right, who's next? Permaculture Interpretive Dance 101. What do you got? Oh, we got Techno Fix. Techno Fix. Future Seeder. Future Harvest from the high-tech aquaponics system of computer-controlled Venus Project style science fiction. Here we go. Who's next? One more. What do you got? Interpretive dance. Oh, we got the enjoying life. We got enjoying life out in the garden. It's a beautiful day. Check it out. Look at all this fresh food growing around me. I'm such a happy person. Woo! That's my favorite interpretive dance. Now let me remind you that if you're feeling sleepy, then you can go and have a sleep. But if you feel like there's not enough air, then breathe in very deep. And if you're thirsty, then you oughta get yourself a drink of water. And if it's gonna be cold and you're feeling bold, I don't know, shear yourself a sheep. Cause in any given moment, there's everything you need. Just look around, it will be found that obtain yourself a yield. Obtain yourself a yield, but take only what you need. Cause it's pretty fun when you're getting some, but there's no need for greed. Obtain yourself a yield, and one for others too. Make sure to seal both ends of the deal of what's good for both of you. An easy way to do it is to give stuff to your friends, because the good things you do come back to you, and the yield just never ends. I said the good things you do come back to you, and the yield just never ends. That's right, the good things you do come back to you, and the yield just never, ever, ever, ever ends. Thank you so much, guys. My name's Charlie Mgee. I've got some music with me if you'd like to check them out. This new CD's 15 and this one's 10, so help yourself in the jar there. Thank you so much for having me. Stick around for the other music, and yeah, big bless for all the work you're doing. Thank you.